Welcome back to Smile Jamaica. You know, recently in the news, there have been several incidents where pastors have been accused of indecent assault and other things. And as such, the Custos of Westmoreland, the Reverend Hartley Perrin, is calling on the government to regulate the church system and, as he describes them, hurry come up pastors. He joins us now for this discussion. Good morning, Reverend.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, Delia. Good morning, Jamaica.
How are you doing?
I am very well here in Westmoreland.
Yes.
I'm so excited this morning. I have to share it with you. Last night, my first grandchild was born.
Oh, congratulations, sir. Congratulations and
So I'm so excited.
good luck and God bless the family, sir.
Thank you, Neville.
I want to read something that I think is attributed to you. And it says there needs to be some regulatory framework, as anybody can set up a church and call themselves any name. They can be bishop, archbishop, even pope if they want to. This they can do without any affiliation to any religion or any accountability to anything or anyone but themselves. That was attributed to you. If that is so, do you know of any so-called pastor bishop who would have done that, sir?
There are a number of them. They are well known across Jamaica. One only has to set up a tent for a period of time and then establish a church and usually give it a name, a really real name that they would have put together. They are not necessarily associated with any main body, but it is their church, their establishment. And sometimes it becomes like a corporation, like a company that has been established, and they are able to operate.
And these are the people you are calling hurry up pastors, right?
Yes, because they are without any form of training, any form of regulation. They are just able to operate freely. In any other field of endeavor, if you want to be a nurse, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a teacher, whatever it is that you want to be, you would have to be exposing yourself to some level of training and then be certified so that you may be able to operate in a way that is professional. Because persons will say that being a minister is not a professional job. You have to be professional in your approach to ministry. You have to be professional in terms of how you relate, in terms of how you carry yourself, in terms of the standard by which you uphold the principles of the Bible. So you have to be accountable and you have to be professional.
Rev, how do you respond to those viewers who will say, but then you are trying to curb religious diversity? Because a lot of what you've described could be attributed to, I would say, Christianity and other types of religious endeavors. What about those people who feel that, well, the way I want to worship and the way I want to express my spirituality doesn't have to be contained in a particular way, it doesn't have to be as organized as Christianity would? How do you respond to that?
I would say that we're not equating the two. Any passage of scripture that you read by any of the writers of the Bible would immediately indicate that these were persons who were steeped in knowledge and education. It cannot be that somebody who is completely uneducated, unlearned, unschooled. Paul, for example, sat at the feet of Gamaliel. And all the persons that you see, although they will claim that they were, one man claimed that he was the dresser of sycamore tree. But when you read his writings, you come to realize that certainly he was more than that. He was a scholar.
I'm going to interrupt you, Rev, because I'm suggesting that even the fact that you are using the Bible as the premise of the response, that there are some religions that may not necessarily use the Bible, which is a Christian, I guess, book of guidance. So that's really what I was saying, that whereas in Christianity, the Bible presents a particular structure and so on, what about the other religions in Jamaica that may feel that that's not my religion, that's not how I express my spirituality?
No, I don't have a problem with the other religions doing whatever they want to do. The Rastafarians have come,
right,
and we have tremendous respect for them. And whatever it is that they want to use, although many of them would use our Bible,
right,
but there are other groups, other religious groups in the country I'm aware of that may not use our Bible.
Right.
Fine. But if you're going to be a Christian church and you're going to claim that you're a Christian church, then at least you have to have some standards.
Okay.
How do you control that, sir? You have Anglican.
That is what I do not have the answer for.
What would you like to see?
We don't necessarily want the government.
Yeah.
Because we don't want it to become a state church.
Right.
So that the government tells us what to do, when to do, and where to go.
And how to worship.
Not necessarily right or how to worship.
But sir,
But
sorry again to jump in, but if I come to St.
Sure.
Peter's Anglican Church in Petersfield and I see
Right.
Bishop Perrin, how do I know that you had gone through theological studies and stuff? How do I know that?
Because I'm a member of the Anglican Church and you cannot be a part of it.
No, but how
You
do I?
can't be ordained.
But how do I know that?
How do you know that?
How do I, as someone coming to the church for the first time, I come and I sit in the congregation, I hear you preaching, and I'm looking at you, and you're being sensible, and you're saying the right things. But how do I know that you went through the teachings, the same teachings that you are suggesting that other pastors should do? How do I know that?
It would be difficult for you, but the thing is that there are the churches who you cannot become a pastor, you can't become a priest unless and until you have been trained at a theological college and you have documents to prove that. But a person who walks off the street may not have that facility at their disposal.
Yes.
But if they were to make inquiries, then they would find out.
Yeah. I want to bring this to another, shift the discussion a bit, because part of the discussion is coming out of the idea of so many men of the cloth becoming involved in illegal activity, quite illegal in Jamaica, a lot of what's happening. Is it the government, or should more pressure be placed, Rev, on the churches to regulate their pastors and their members? Because some of the people that have been implicated are people who are not hurry come up, you know. There are people who have been in the system. There are people who have gone through the training that you have suggested. But there is a problem. So should it be government, or are we hoping that the churches collectively will come up with a system or a way of monitoring the pastors?
And I'm agreeing with you that the church, as I said earlier, that it does not necessarily, the onus of responsibility would not necessarily be on the government, because we would want the government to take over the church, as it were.
Right.
The church itself needs to put checks and balances in place to ensure its continued integrity and sustenance in the future. It's a wake-up call, and it's a conversation that I'm sort of trying to initiate so that something will come out. Somewhere, someone else may have the answer. I don't have all the answers. But I'm bringing it to the fore that the time has come. Perhaps the time has even passed for us to examine the subject and to have a conversation around it.
What about the Council of Churches? Because I think one of the challenges is I find churches don't want to cross denominations. So if there's an issue in one church, the other church not going to necessarily say, listen, you should have done this or you could have done it a better way. Is there room for the Council of Churches to collectively say, as the church, we all have to now present an image of ourselves that is much better than is being represented now?
And what we would have hoped would happen is that, springing from this, the Jamaica Council of Churches and the other umbrella groups of the church will have a conversation, will begin to discuss the matter and come up with a solution of some sort that we can move forward. Behavior of persons, I mean, policemen, doctors, everybody, in spite of training, would drop off the grid. But that it would be the exception and not the rule. But you will find that many instances, those persons who are acting out of character are the ones who would not have had the kind of training and the kind of accountability which would be demanded of them if they were belonging to something that regulates them.
So does that mean you're suggesting, Daly just broached it, but does that mean you're suggesting that most of the pastors who have gone afoul of the law are not trained or not real pastors? Is that the suggestion?
Well, for example, the most recent one that has come on board that has made the news, I don't know that he has had any sort of formal training.
But are you suggesting that most of these, again, these people of the church who have gone afoul are not trained?
I'm not saying, I mean, there are many, I'm sure there are countless many who, in spite of not having formal training, have been able to enrich the church by their contribution and by their expression and their worship, and have done great things for the people in their respective communities. Sure, the Spirit works like that. We cannot say that the Holy Spirit is confined only to certain kind of people. And persons will express their belief and their faith in different ways as the Lord would have them. But there is still a need for us to have a conversation about how we go setting up churches and how we go expressing ourselves.
Totally agree with you. You had a grandson or a granddaughter, sir, and what's the name?
Son.
What's his name,
you
sir?
know, his name is Axel, A-X-E-L, Axel St. Michael.
All right, congratulations, sir.
He came a little too early. He shouldn't have come yet, but somebody went near the mother and heard him crying, "I want to get out," and they let him out.
I pray that everyone will be all right, sir. God bless you, and thanks for speaking with us this morning. And
certainly. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Continue doing the good work.
Say hi
Delia,
take care. Say hi to Axel for us, sir.
Yes, God bless. God
all
bless.
Right. Reverend Hartley Perrin, who is also the Custos of Westmoreland.
Yes, interesting discussion, man. Coming up, find out how one company is helping St. Thomas farmers. We'll be right back.